it's truly something we haven't seen.
Do you think they're intentionally trying to make it so it can't be spoiled, or do you think something crazy just happened?
You can't spoil something that hasn't happened yet, but I don't think it's now not over. There's been so many things that have been missed. The whole champagne gate, they don't want to be exposed. But I do believe her when she says that.
Oh my word.
Well, it looks like Tacos is back. Tacos Al Carbone, aka Steve Al Carbone, aka Reality Steve. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again, ladies.
Of course. So we want to get right into things. As you know, we're not spoiled. We don't know any of your spoilers, but we know if people do want to know your spoilers, they just go to realitysteve.com or they go to your podcast, which is called Reality Steve Podcast, right?
Correct.
Okay. But for those of us who do not want to be spoiled, we still want some information from you, because this season seems to be unlike any other in that you might not know the ending. We saw the beginning episode where it showed something crazy happens at the end, and you maybe don't know what happens.
You could say that. I mean, it's definitely different this season, and it's weird because I can't really answer it because, I mean, what I can say is that I have not given out the ending spoiler of the season yet. I have not done that. So we are in a situation where this is the longest it's ever taken me for Bachelor. And there are so many theories floating around out there, what it could be. Is it not even done filming yet? Are they still going on? Are they doing something post-show? You know, the clips that we saw of Chris Harrison at the final rose ceremony talking to Peter, what's he talking about? The clip of his mother saying, bring her home, you know, bring her home to us, don't let her go. What is that all about? There's a lot of missing pieces here this season that I don't have just yet. I have everything spoiled up to your final two women, but basically from that time, the final two women are in Australia is where there's a lot of holes and a lot of missing pieces that haven't been filled in yet. I think one thing that I can say with certainty is I don't think they're really being, what's the word, hyperbolic when talking about this season, how they always say, oh my God, you're never going to believe the ending. Like, I think this is truly different, and it's truly something we haven't seen, but I think at some point I'm going to figure this out. Like, I think I'm going to find out eventually where we're at the end of this thing, like who potentially Peter is with. I just might not be able to fill in every single detail of what they've shown us in teasers. I've tried to piece stuff together, and I'll be like, oh, Peter's mom is talking about this. And then I get to the next step. Okay, so if she's talking about this, then what about this? And I'm like, oh, roadblock. And then I'm like, wait a second. What if Peter's mom's talking about this? And then get to the next step, and I'm like, oh, another roadblock, because that wouldn't make sense. There's been a lot of banging my head against a wall so far this season, but it's actually kind of, I don't know, it's kind of neat. I'm actually kind of enjoying it more than it's not just all laid out like, yep, here it is. Here's what we're going to get. You know, I think it's kind of interesting this season. I'm not really bothered by it at all.
I love that you're enjoying it because you get to be kind of like a little, like more of a sleuth than normal. Instead of people just giving you all this information, you're really figuring it out.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to, because I'm still getting information. The problem is, like, I think I can honestly say I've probably heard what the ending is by now. I just don't know which one to believe because I've heard every possible scenario. And I'm just like, I don't know which one is legit. I don't know which one is real yet, because while I've heard possible endings, I haven't been given the proof or the evidence I need to back that up. I'm not just going off of, hey, this is what I'm hearing. It's like, if I were to do that, I would have posted 3 days after the final rose ceremony what I was hearing, but that's not what I do.
Do you think they're intentionally trying to make it so it can't be spoiled, or do you think something crazy just happened?
Well, one thing they've done this season that they've never done before is they're openly talking about the fact that this is going to be a spoiler-free season. Like, they never address spoilers when they do preseason interviews. Every single interview that Peter has done about this season, he has said, Reality Steve isn't going to spoil. He mentioned my name in one interview, but every interview since then, he's just talking about, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to find out the ending to my season, and there's a reason why. And he keeps saying, and there's a reason why. So immediately, most people are answering that with, well, okay, he's probably saying that because it's not done filming it. You can't spoil something that hasn't happened yet. And I say, yeah, that seems to be it. But based on things that I've heard and stuff that I've read, I do think he's with somebody right now, and I do think it's over. So I don't think it's now not over. Like, where to what people are saying of like, well, that's why he's saying it, because it's not done filming yet. And I'm like the major thing is everyone thinks that the ending, quote unquote, is going to be revealed at the live after the final rose, because there's no way I can spoil that because it's live. I just don't think that's the case, because I do think Peter is with somebody right now. This is not a spoiler-free season. Everybody knows every detail about every date you have this season and all the backstories to all the drama that happens this season. The only thing they don't know is the ending. Like, he's talking about a spoiler-free ending because everything else has been spoiled.
Well, but the ending is kind of the thing, right, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think so, because if I were to do a whole season where I just gave people the ending and I gave no other spoilers, I'd probably get criticized for that. Like, oh, you only know the ending. You don't even know anything else. How are we supposed to believe you know the ending? So It's kind of a lose-lose for me.
The interview you were talking about where he mentions your name specifically was in The Hollywood Reporter. And he says, I'm very confident that Reality Steve and all of these people, they're not going to find out what happens. There's no way they're going to find out. So that led us to believe that, you know, there wouldn't be an ending until after the final rose, and it would be live.
After the final rose.
But that's interesting that you're saying that might not be the case.
Yeah, just because he's really happy right now, and he's really happy. Like, let's just play out a scenario, because trust me, I've played this out in my head numerous times, and on the phone with friends who I'm close with that want to know stuff. Let's just say that's it. Let's just say after the final rose, he makes his decision on whatever that may be, and it's finalized on the after the final rose what the end result of this season would be. He's been saying in interviews, I heard him say in a specific interview, like, it's so good, I can't wait. Well, back up real quick. If he were to say, let's just say it's happening on the after the final rose, he's making a decision. Technically, right now, that would mean he's a single man. Like, he's not with anybody because he hasn't made a choice yet, right? So why in an interview would he say to, I think it was Cosmopolitan, where he said, you're going to love it, I can't wait to tell you. I don't think someone would be excited to basically say, I can't wait to let you know that I'm single. It doesn't seem like an answer you would give to somebody telling outlets, I wish I could tell you right now, I can't wait. I wish I could tell you right now, I can't wait is somebody bursting at the seams to tell somebody, tell the public, tell the media, I'm with so-and-so, you know? You wouldn't say that if you were, I can't wait to tell you that I'm single. Plus, nobody's left this show single in 39 seasons outside of Brad Womack and his first season where he chose nobody. Like, I just don't think that's a possibility. It's just not, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Well, what if, here's my theory, just based on what you just said, what if he's excited because he knows whatever it is a lock, like maybe Hannah Brown, and he knows she's there waiting for him and he can't wait to propose to her? I don't know.
That seems to be a lot of people's, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a Hannah Brown faction out there, of course, and they want to see her end up with Peter. The one thing that I have mentioned it on my website, and it is out there, although people choose not to believe me, Hannah Brown has nothing to do with the end of this season. Nothing.
It's a little bit of a spoiler. Sorry, people.
And I put it out there because the longer that I didn't say it, it's an option in people's heads, and they're still going to say, well, what about Hannah Brown? Trust me, after the first episode aired, because I had seen the first episode 3 or 4 days early, and I was tweeting out, look, when I was tweeting out my thoughts on the first episode, I said, after you watch Monday's episode, which was on the 6th, I said, every single one of you is going to think that the reason this thing isn't ended yet and the reason that Peter is teasing it the way it is because he ends up with Hannah Brown in the end. Like, everybody is going to think that the way that episode ended. I'm sure when you watch that, you probably said the same thing, like, oh my God, these two are still not over each other. all I can do is confirm that Hannah Brown has nothing to do with the rest of this season. It's not her. That was a narrative they were going to bring in the beginning to get people sucked into the season, but she is not part of the ending of the show. He is not secretly dating her right now. She's out of the picture.
How did you get the episode a couple days early?
They release it to the media on a user and password protected. I've gotten it every season since Emily Maynard's season. However, they obviously don't do any work with me because they don't like me. I have people in the media that let me
use theirs.
Access their stuff. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Sneaky.
They would never give it to me.
I was just thinking, because for me, hearing what Peter has said, it still leads me to believe that he's excited because we haven't seen it before. So I still feel like it hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
Honestly, I mean, I could make a case that you're right, and I can make a case that I'm right. I think there is a case to be made for both. I'm leaning towards he's with somebody right now. I just don't know if that was finalized on Final Rose Ceremony Day, which was November 17th in Australia. So that's where I'm at. It's been 2 months since Final Rose Ceremony Day. So things have happened. And another thing that the show is talking about, and we've seen happen in the last couple seasons with Ari's season, with Hannah's season, is that from the time the show ends filming to the time that we get to the after the Final Rose, there's stuff still going on within the show. So it's technically never over until we get to that after the Final Rose. I'm guessing it's something like that Peter is talking about. Like whatever happened on Final Rose Ceremony Day in Australia back on November 17th, since then, there's moving parts and things that probably happened post-filming.
Maybe they'll change it to after the almost Final Rose, but not quite.
Yeah.
We have a real sassy pants person who was a little contentious with us in some comments, and thinks that you are being paid by ABC, and it's clear that he ends up with Hannah Brown, and you're just being paid to shut up. What do you have to say to her?
Yeah. I tell her she has no idea what she's talking about, and that's one of the most ignorant statements you could possibly ever make. I can't prove that I'm not unless I literally printed out my bank statements and showed where my income is coming from every month. Like, how can I tell you that I'm not without saying I'm not? I mean, I guess you could look at the fact that they've sued me twice. Those are public knowledge. Those are public record. You could find the lawsuits online. Those weren't made up. But if anybody knows anything about me and anybody knows anything about my relationship with this show, you couldn't possibly say that I'm on ABC's payroll. It's just ignorant.
Have you noticed more traffic to your website? People trying to see if you've come up with the ending?
No, because I mean, my traffic is always pretty much at the height of its peak when the show is on. It's very consistent every single season. In January, they show up. And it's been really no different this season. I think people are like checking in to see, but it's like, you'll know. When I know, you'll know. And I've said that from the very beginning. The second I know the ending to this season, I'm going to tell you. I have no reason to hold out on everything.
This is unrelated to his season, but just in general, do you know the current salary for the lead these days? Like, how much is Pete pulling in?
I think it's high. I think it's high 5 figures, low 6 figures. It's usually anywhere between like 80 and 120. There's been so many things that have been misreported over the year. I know for years people thought Emily made $250,000 through that trip. That's not. She didn't make that.
But Pete's a pilot, so his salary is above that anyway. Why would he? I mean, obviously for the chance of a lifetime to find the love of his life. But wouldn't they need to exceed his salary?
He's just basically getting a bonus for the months he had to take off to go film. Do this for us for 2 months. You're going to have to do media. You're going to have to take some time off, but you'll be compensated. So I could see it being, 125, but that's just a guess.
This has been great because you avoided all spoilers. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah,
well, except for
you.
one you kind of gave, but that's all right.
Yeah. It's like a spoiler that doesn't so it could just get people's minds off it, because let's face it, what were people talking about after the first episode and the beginning of the second episode? Peter and Hannah Brown just have this connection that they can't be without each other. But you also got to remember, and I've reiterated this a few times, that conversation between Hannah Brown and Peter on the group date took place on September 24th. It's January 16th now. Like, I know it seems fresh in people's minds, but it was also 4 months ago. It happened during week 2 or week 3 of Dancing with the Stars. It was the day after a Monday performance where she had gotten her worst scores, and Carrie-Ann Inaba had just criticized her for the first time. So she was in an emotional state. She goes to film this the next day. She's put in front of Peter. She has to relive and tell the women the windmill story. Like, I get why she was emotional, but the people that are watching just assume, oh, she's emotional because she's in love with Peter. And it's just like, no, it's not that easy. It was the day after her worst scores.
Do you think that was 100% contractual? She had to do it, or do you think she chose to say yes?
I think you, as a former contestant, could you put your foot down and say no? Yes, you could. You could say, look, absolutely 100%, I'm not doing that. However, Hannah also knows that this show has given her everything that she has right now. It got her on Dancing with the Stars. Bachelor led to Bachelorette, which led to Dance with the Stars, which led to this Dance with the Stars live tour that she's going to be on. She is very close to people in production that were with her every single day. It's not that she was forced to do it, but I think if you're her, you have a sense of obligation to these people who have given you everything you have up to this point in your life, and given you the success that you've gained. So it's just like, okay, I'll do it.
I love that. Mid-season, we got this interview with you because it kind of actually ups my interest level in the show. It makes it more exciting to watch now.
Have you been not interested in the first 2 episodes?
I didn't like this last episode. We thought it was kind of boring.
You didn't like the champagne exploding in Kelsey's
Well,
Okay, that was the one part that we liked.
that was amazing.
The whole champagne gate, which was obviously producer driven and
Yeah.
totally planted.
Yeah. And I did notice that night, I just never said it, that was a bottle of Dom. So it's Dom Perignon, so it is expensive. So I understand her being like upset about it, but come on. Like you said, it's a bottle of champagne. Relax.
And she should have known that it's obvious. Producers kept her on one side and made sure that Hannah and Peter walked to that bottle and opened it up. Like this wasn't done by, and I absolutely 100% believe Hannah Ann. Hannah Ann didn't do that on purpose. You do what you're told to do on that show, and especially at cocktail parties, producers tell you when you can go get your time with him, and then they say, why don't you go over here and have your time with him over here? So Hannah Ann had no idea that was Kelsey's 2-year-old bottle that she was specially waiting to open with Peter. So I do believe her when she says that. Kelsey just should have been more aware that this is what the show does. They create conflict where it isn't there. Because if you're Hannah Ann, why wouldn't you just say on camera, production told me to sit over here and open this. I didn't know it was yours. But she obviously can't say that because that's pulling back the curtain on the show, and they don't want to be exposed. But did that conversation probably happen later on? Yeah, because Kelsey and Hannah Ann are perfectly fine with each other and are joking with each other on social media post-show. So obviously they don't hate each other anymore. So.
Interesting. See, all these little nuggets. Mm-hmm. All right, Steve. Well, we know you're busy. This is your season, so we'll let you go.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
My friend. I feel like you're my friend now, so I'm going to call you that. All right. Well, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy the season.
Thank you. Bye.